videos like these on your social media feed? These are our foreign domestic workers. These videos taken with their smartphones. They may seem harmless, but are they really? Latest statistics from the International Labour Organization show that less than half of foreign domestic workers here are allowed free access to their mobile phones. So in this episode, I'm deep diving to find out how some of our domestic workers are using their smartphones and if restrictions on their mobile phone usage are justified. I am starting with TikTok, one of the hottest video sharing social network service amongst domestic workers right now. In just 5 minutes, I came across 50 accounts made by domestic helpers. Follow just one of these accounts and more made videos appear on my feed. She's quite talented, you know. Yeah, I wonder, don't they think their employers go on TikTok too, or that their employers are never Whoa. At first, it just seems like harmless fun. But what I soon saw troubled me. Ooh, she counting cash? I can see a shadow. I can see a shadow of someone at the back. Just watch for this spot. There's a shadow of the videographer. There? You can see, looks like a man in a t-shirt. Now this little one looks like the child of her employer, and I'm just wondering if permission was given by the parents for this video to be taken and uploaded. I've noticed also that quite a few videos were taken within the premises of the employers. Again, I wonder if that's with the employer's permission as well. Ouch. I wonder if this is where she lives. Now, you might say these pictures don't reveal exactly where the helper stays, so what's the big deal? Well, Paul Ma, a tech writer who has been covering cybersecurity trends, thinks that the amount of information being exposed is a cause for concern.
And here we have some videos which I downloaded from one of the social media platforms. So if you look at this particular video, you notice that the background images clearly shows the block number 102. Now if you take this block number and you go to Google Maps and you type in block 102, it will actually show a list of the locations in Singapore with block 102. So beyond that, you can actually use Google Street View to narrow down further from the comfort of your armchair. I think the greatest danger here is even when the helper moves on to the next household, these videos, images presumably will continue to stay on social media, and if it's on a platform like TikTok, it's there forever, and anybody is able to log in and view it.
How concerned should employers be?
These images and videos are probably uploaded without their permission or knowledge. And taken over a period of time, it reveals a lot of information about the household that they're helping out in and who is in the house, who stays inside the house. In this day and age, there's always scammers who could potentially find out more information about your household before trying to call in to the vulnerable, an elderly, for example.
Well, that sounds scary, but is Paul overstating the case? I'm quite a tech noob, but I'm going to put his theory to the test. I saw a few videos from an account belonging to a domestic worker. I'm going to see if I can track down where she lives using just a Google Street Match search. From the videos, I know this helper lives near block 316, somewhere in Tampines. I've set the Google map to block 316 and it has led me to this location. Let's see whether it matches the block in the TikTok video. Okay, I am at block 316 according to Google Maps, and it really does look like the picture from the TikTok video, which means that the video was probably filmed from across the street in that direction. I soon find the block I'm looking for. Okay, this looks like the right lift. Here we go. Okay. I think I found the unit. It actually does look like the screen grab that I printed out from the TikTok video. So, as you can see, the windows look shuttered and the door is closed. I'm not sure if anybody's home, but I'm gonna try and find her. Seems like no one is home, but from what I can see from the screen grab from the video, it really does look exactly like this household. Turns out she wasn't there because her employer was at the hospital. How do I know? Well, her latest TikTok post, which was uploaded 6 hours after I found the unit, which also revealed who she was caring for. With just 6 TikTok videos, I was able to track down the location of this helper within an hour. Shouldn't there be rules on managing mobile phones to prevent these kinds of situations? But the Manpower Ministry does not have explicit rules on how employers should manage their helpers' smartphones. Instead, they have left it to employers to lay down house rules, such as when she can use her phone. So these videos that our helpers post innocently online can have huge repercussions. So what are employers resorting to when it comes to managing their helpers' usage?
They're not allowed to use on a weekdays basis.
I've found that severe data breaches are possible when our helpers use their smartphones. But is that the only problem that employers have with domestic workers?
They will not be working on their normal chores or their duties. They tend to sort of like quickly do the housework and all these things and then have a lot of time to spend on the phone.
Starting come, she got handphone now. Every day hide in the room, see I don't know what she do. Every day no mood to work like that lah.
They can on the handphone at night when free until 2-3 p.m. You know, that's right. So the next day morning when they wake up, they can't concentrate the work because there's not enough sleep. Especially those have small kids, they have to look after. You know, it's not fair for the employees.
I have a helper, and her being distracted was my biggest cause of concern when it came to mobile phone usage. But I found out earlier that the oversharing of information by helpers is a bigger cause for worry. It's no wonder that employment agencies like the one operated by Nolina Muhammad Saad insist only on bringing in domestic helpers who agree to very restricted phone usage. What do you tell the maids about handphone use?
They're not allowed to use on a weekdays basis. It will be kept by the employers, but they can use it during the weekends.
Why did you do that?
Employers may not want the maids to be taking pictures, to be communicating with the families, because the maids may have a lot of distraction and not focus with their work. But of course, on a daily basis, the employers will provide them a normal cheap 3G phones for the employers to reach out to the maids.
This seems like a rather harsh policy.
I think I agree with you, but I think it's also protect the employer as well as the maid. I think if the maid agrees to accept that and the employer is happy with that, I don't see there will be any problem in the long run.
When you say agree, is that agreement in black and white? Is it in the
Yes.
contract?
Yes, I make a contract for the maid to surrender the phone to the employer.
You know, I never thought the restriction on handphone usage would come from the agencies. But what happens if the employers insist on such restrictions? Noraini Abdul Wahid found out the hard way. The mother of three was at the brink of renewing her helper's contract until she discovered that her helper had obtained a phone secretly.
Hey, Rain. Hi, hello, welcome.
Thank you.
This way, please. I'll show you the room where she's supposed to be and where I found her using the phone.
Okay.
This is the kids' room. Kids are sleeping and she was actually seated here with Kilo holding onto the phone. So from outside I can see the light from the screen. So I came near and asked her what you're doing. Then she was like holding onto his tweet and say, no, nothing. So I took it from her and snatched it and I bring it out.
What did you find inside?
And there was a lot of photography, photos and videos.
Pornography?
Yes, photographies, photos and videos. We have a spare room and I also found pictures of her taking selfies sexily on her bed. So I'll show you the room. This is the room where she took photos. In the photos, I saw that she's on the bed wearing just bras, so taking selfies. And she actually shared that photos with the boyfriend.
After that, what did you do?
We had a confrontation. So I was like asking her, where do you get the phone? She bought a second phone from her friends in the same building.
After what happened, what is your stand on helpers and the handphones?
I think handphone is really the roots of all evil. Yeah, I believe so. So I understand they're away from home. They miss their families, my kids. But, you need to show me something before I can trust your phone.
For many of us, our mobile phones are our lifelines. I, for one, cannot imagine being separated from it because it keeps me connected to my work and personal life. Which is why when Robina Navato was only allowed by her previous employer to use her phone after 11 p.m. at night, she called it quits after 2 months. Was this rule communicated to you at the beginning of the contract?
No, not at all. So I never asked and we never talk about it. I thought I will try it first. I mean, I just started and I don't want to bring up like a negative thing with her already.
Did that work for you?
At first I thought it is fine. But then, as when I started calling my family, especially my mom, she said I'm already sleeping.
How did you feel at that time?
I'm really sad. I'm really disappointed. And then, that it was a result of feeling homesick because, when you just want to say something to someone, especially my family or my closest friends, I cannot do it.
Your attitude at that time was to
Yes.
fit into what your employer wanted.
Yes.
So you didn't try to talk to your employer.
No, I did not.
Do you think that most domestic workers would react the same way in your situation?
I think so too.
Why?
Yeah, because, first thing, we came here to work. So most of us will do, it's okay at first. I've known a lot of domestic workers who were, their phones were confiscated before they started their job, but then they will come up with a second phone. They have a hidden phone, secret phone. So for me, I didn't do that because I thought I can adjust into it.
Why did you decide to share your story with us?
Because it is very important for the employers to know that we domestic workers are human beings too. And I think sometimes they forgot that we are away from our families. Especially for the new ones, it is very important for us to communicate to our families back home or to our friends. At least they will know our situation here.
So perhaps the way forward is to stop restricting mobile phone use. But is there a way to manage this beyond restrictions? How our helpers use their mobile phones, especially on social media, can have dire consequences. And some agencies and employers are opting for complete restriction because of these concerns.
Remember the domestic helper whom I managed to track down just by going through her TikTok videos? Well, I've got some screen grabs here at a popular hangout for domestic helpers. I want to find out if they are aware of the implications of posting such videos. Do you use social media like TikTok, Facebook and Instagram?
Yes,
what do you use?
I have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram also.
What do you post on TikTok?
TikTok just for just for happy lah.
Happy videos.
Yeah.
Where do you take these videos?
In the room.
In the room?
Yeah.
In your house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I just show you? This one is TikTok video by Auntie also working in Singapore. I look at her TikTok video. I find where she lives. I also can find her unit number from the TikTok videos.
I cannot. I never.
You never? Sure. But
Yeah.
do you think your friends know that from doing this maybe they can show where they live?
I don't.
Do you think it's dangerous?
Yeah, I think so.
For who? Dangerous for who?
For us, because we work here as helper, right? So I don't do this.
Because your employer will be upset?
Yeah, I'm scared.
I don't like. Only I don't like.
Yeah, because many people see if me TikTok and then with the employer complain why you TikTok many.
Do you know about the privacy settings on your phone?
I don't know that. I don't know. I don't.
All domestic workers who come into Singapore will have to attend a mandatory one-day settling in program or SIP. The aim is to familiarize helpers with Singapore laws and equip them with on-the-job safety training. There is nothing in the module to suggest that it also covers the do's and don'ts of using mobile phones at work. So it's up to employers. And I want to know how some are managing their helpers' smartphone usage. I've gathered a group of employers to find out. How do you manage your handphone policies?
I allow her to use her handphone, okay, provided she finished her duties. But on the other hand, to control or to restrict her from abuse, from overuse, I do not provide Wi-Fi. So she will be using her own data plan. So the more she uses, the more she pay. So that, in that sense, she will know how to control and she will know how to restrict and self-discipline.
When I signed a contract with the employment agency, the employment contract was actually 2 years no handphone policy. I told her there's strictly no handphone policy until I assess your performance, but we let her call back every month. Yeah, through my Skype, no restriction on the call, the length of calls. But after that, she secretly got a handphone without telling us. So you must see where is the context coming from. She's afraid. So I gave her a chance. I said, okay, now we can use the handphone.
It's clear that there needs to be a lot more education about handphone usage, both for employers and employees. So who should take the lead? Anyone?
I would say the agency and the government, because the domestic helper, when they came to Singapore, they go for this settling in program. But the settling in program is only about safety of like windows wiping and all those. This settling in program should actually involve the do's and don'ts in Singapore for them as well. Yes, of handphone usage, not only about safety but also about privacy and all this.
I feel that the agency at this moment are not doing enough. They can do more because they are the first bridge with the helpers instead of us. So they should tell them, okay, in Singapore, this is the rule, guidelines, these are the requirements, these are the things you have to expect before you come over here or before we bring you over here.
It's clear that these employers want more to be done, both by agencies and the government. But before that happens, what can we do to teach our domestic workers responsible phone usage? For some answers, I'm meeting John Gee, a migrant worker rights activist, and his wife Cecilia. Over the past 20 years, they've employed 6 helpers to work in their household, and they've never had to place any restriction on mobile phone use.
Cici, what do you say to your helper about handphone usage?
I've never had my boss talk to me about handphone usage. I'll be appalled if I have to do that with Lynn. She's not a child.
I actually using my phone if, like, example is nobody's outside, right? Then I cleaning, then I put his phone. Then if I'm ironing, but if I'm around with Papa, right, then I taking care of. Then I don't use phone. Previously, I taking care of a newborn, right, and the 7 years old. Then I don't use phone.
What about privacy concerns in the age of social media, John?
It's okay if the domestic worker shows herself dancing around the kitchen having fun. Why would we bother? So what? But we have private areas like bedrooms, for example. We wouldn't bring strangers into the bedroom. Why would you want your bedroom to be shown online on social media and shared? So we don't want that. So that's something that you should definitely be very clear shouldn't happen. You might go into details. When you're looking after my children, I don't want you to take pictures and share them, for example. Or when you take them out on the street, I really don't want you to use the phone. So those are the kind of things that I think it's quite legitimate to raise.
Lynn, what about yourself? What with social media? How should helpers and employers work around the social media?
Because I think the employer and the helper must talk about it, right? What the employer wants, then she do want to do the TikTok or around her house or what. Then the helper also must follow these rules, right?
What happens if there are some domestic helpers who, despite having some guidelines or talk with their employers, they continue to use the phone when they are not supposed to? What should the employer do?
You can't make one general rule for everybody. But if we have concerns, then we should share them, we talk about it, and we come to an understanding.
So should we allow our helpers to use their smartphones? The answer, without a doubt, is yes. But as long as there are no clear rules about how they can use their smartphones, this will continue to drive a wedge between helpers and employers.